The following is a co-production of Taking Care of Business, TCB Radio, and Rocket Green Radio, rocketgreen.com. Richard Solomon and Antonio Sayant, your hosts. We've got a really cool show for you this week. This topic is we're featuring two really interesting environmental activist entrepreneurs and people who are going to be really famous one day. If they're not even famous now, they're going to be even more famous. They're Olivia and Carter. And we want to welcome you to our show. And they've done some really great path-breaking things. Olivia, tell us, you went to South Africa and that inspired you. And what happened with all of that?
Well, it actually happened when my aunt, she traveled to South Africa, and she had brought us back adoption certificate saying that we were proud adoptive parents of cheetahs. And when she brought this back a year after the adoption, I asked my dad, why do animals need to be adopted? And when he explained why animals need to be adopted, I started to cry, and I asked him, what can I do to help? And he said, someday when you get older, you can start a company. And I took that as, Dad said we're starting a company.
Oh,
okay.
wow.
All right. Well, that's good. That's look, they found penicillin by accident. So, so
that's true.
Okay. So you started this company with your brother, Carter?
Yes.
Okay.
When
So
we
Carter.
were 7 and 8.5.
All right. So Carter, how did you find out you were part of a company?
Mainly through my sister. She came to me and, basically, she came to my room and said, we're going to start a company, and got really excited. And so I didn't know what to say at the time. So I kind of went along with it, thinking that it was all a joke, but then to find out that she was being serious. So that was a pretty big shocker that day.
Now, how old were you guys? I just want to make sure I got this right. So the people out there in Radio Land can actually, how old were you guys at the time?
We were actually, Olivia was 7 and I was 8.
Okay, so
Wow.
So you're 7 and 8-year-old. Now most 7 and 8-year-olds I know are busy I don't know, just goofing around. So here you are starting a company, probably 10 to 15 years ahead of the curve.
Yeah,
I know.
Who did you seek advice from on how to start a company?
our dad.
Okay.
Really, we didn't really have anyone else that we would ask. My mom was actually out of town at that time, and our aunt was in South Africa, and we weren't old enough to know any entrepreneurs or anything yet, so we didn't really know who to ask besides our dad at the time.
All right. So what
was the whole trip to South Africa for? Like, was it a vacation?
So the main reason why we went to South Africa first
Right.
was because we were visiting our adopted cheetahs, and while we were there, we started learning about different issues that were happening in South Africa, like poaching and pollution and stuff like that.
Now,
Wow.
I think Antonio wanted to know, why did your aunt go there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, why my aunt went there? Okay, so yeah, she was going on vacation. She was visiting her son. Her son lives there, and that's when she kind of just got it for. It was like Christmas time, so.
Okay. So what were the names of the cheetahs that you adopted?
So the names of our cheetahs are, well, mine is Talala, which means queen or princess in Swahili, and Carter's is Daputsu, which means Dave or David in Swahili.
Really?
Wow.
Wow.
So-
Go ahead.
So when you talk about adoption, do you bring them home, or it's just or is it you adopt it over there and you kind of like protect them or fund to keep them alive? You know what it is?
We could bring.
Go ahead, Lily.
I wish that we could bring them home, but actually they stay over there, and we just donate money every year to help them survive and be fed and help the rest of the organization.
I heard they're rough on the furniture.
Yeah, and we probably wouldn't have any birds or squirrels left.
So what does it take to care for a cheetah as an adoptive human parent?
I would say that at first it was kind of stressing. We didn't really know what was happening with the cheetahs when we gave them money. But then we kind of talked to the owner and everything, and she explained to us, and she showed us around, like, on Skype and everything at first. And, I mean, it was really exciting. I was super excited to be, a parent, I guess you could say, at 8 years old. So that was pretty fun.
Did you send, like, ground beef by FedEx?
No, we actually only sent cold hard cash. So that's all we sent over.
How much does it cost to care for a cheetah in this particular program that you're involved in?
It costs about maybe $100 or maybe $50 to $100 a year. It depends on what organization that you are donating to or adopting the animal to. But for us, I believe it's a while ago. It was around $100. Sorry.
Did you knit any sweaters or anything like that? Or not just kidding.
No, we didn't.
Now, I assume you guys have pictures of your cheetahs somewhere.
We do. It's on our website. We have pictures of our cheetahs. When we went over to South Africa, we got to meet our cheetahs. I didn't quite get to meet mine because she was an overprotective mother because she had just had a cub.
Mm.
So you're a grandmother.
Yeah, you're a grandmother. There you go. Yeah.
Okay, so
there is the reason there's an organization to adopt cheetahs. Is it because they're like on that list to be extinct? Is that what this whole thing is about?
Yeah, actually, the cheetahs they're not exactly being poached rather than, I don't know how to...
Is it habitat destruction? Is it habitat destruction?
It's not that. It's the cheetahs will go to, like, farmers' lands and try to eat the cattle. And the farmers will go and try to shoot them.
Oh, I see.
And that's the biggest problem they're having. So we got involved with that as well, and there was an inventor that we met, and he made these things called fox lights, and you put them out, and they flash, and so it looks like there's someone moving with a flashlight. So the cheetahs tend to stay away from that.
Okay, so that's like a warning system, so they don't...
Yeah.
So basically the problem is really... cattle-cheetah encounters, and the cattle farmers are protective of their livestock, and the cheetahs are just trying to have a snack.
Yes.
Okay. All right. The inventor of this thing, how is it working, and do they need funding, and what's going on with all of that?
Actually, he's doing really well. We had met with him, I want to say about a year ago, and he got funded for quite a bit of his fox lights, and now he's put them in towns in Africa, and it's keeping like the elephants from destroying these houses, and he's got some in Asia and with snow leopards and different endangered species. So he's definitely sprung from where he was with just trying to protect his sheep from foxes.
That's really, really cool. Now, is it called a fox light or a box light?
Fox, F-O-X.
Okay. Now, why is it called that?
The main reason it's called fox light is because he was he had a sheep that was killed by a fox, and so he didn't want to shoot the fox. He knew that foxes needed food, so he decided to come up with these ideas, and he tested it all out until he got this. And it would make like a white light here, and then it would shine a red light in that direction or a blue light in that direction. So it seemed like there was more than one light going around, and it looked like it was swinging.
And based upon your observations, this was effective?
Yes, it was very effective.
So how long, what was the duration of time that you spent in South Africa?
I think it was, the first time it was like about 2 weeks, and the second time it was 3 weeks.
Wow.
Cool.
And where did you stay?
Yep.
Where did you stay, and how far are you from where all the wildlife was?
Well, the first time we stayed there, we stayed at some of our relatives' house near about Kruger National Park, and that was pretty cool because you couldn't go out of the house after 6 o'clock because of the lions and stuff. And then the second time, we stayed in various different places around the place. I don't remember all of them, but a lot of them were around wildlife preserves, and we were in Kruger, and we were also filming there, so for a documentary.
Now, is this a documentary that's finished or in production?
It's still in production.
All right, so when it's done, call us back and we'll put you on there. We'll do another show about your documentary.
Sure, absolutely.
All right? So we'll help get the word out.
What's the name of it? What's the name of it?
Rhinos United.
So how do you go from cheetahs to rhinos?
Well, when we were over in South Africa for the first time, we had seen a rhino in Kruger National Park, but then we saw signs and stuff that said that rhinos were being poached and for their horns because people and places think that rhino horn has medicinal values and that it could make you look younger, cure a hangover, cure cancer, when actually it doesn't do anything for you. It's just the same thing as your hair and your fingernails. And so we researched more about this stuff, and we kind of, after that trip, we went there and we learned more about rhinos. We kind of just took on this initiative and decided to work on our next project as rhinos. So
you got the whole cheetah rhino thing going.
Yes.
So you're still helping the cheetahs, right?
Yes, we did a long time ago. We had raised up over 7,000 rand, which is equivalent to $1,000 here, and we donated it to the Cheetah Rescue Center as a donation, and that has helped a lot with the cheetahs.
Well,
yeah, I found it. The numbers. I read an article. I think it was one of your articles when you were being interviewed that there was an estimate of 15,000 cheetahs left in the world, and there's 1,000 less in South Africa, and I'm thinking they must be being killed. No, I mean,
so they're being killed. Yeah, now you're seeing more of a, from like 3 years ago, you're seeing more of a impact of like people wanting the fur or the pelt, or and it's really sad to see this, but like poachers are, some of the poor people turn into poachers because they're looking for money, and a lot of times we'll try to educate those poachers afterwards and try to get them to be educators to other people who might become poachers.
Right.
Yeah, but
so,
I agree with you. We are seeing a decline.
Yeah, so this is what got you to open up the company, to develop the company, to focus on not just cheetahs and rhinos, but technically the endangered species, right?
Yes.
Of all animals, is that what you want to do and focus on?
Yes, that's what we really like to focus on mainly.
All right, we only have a minute and a half left, but now if people want to donate to your foundation or company, what do you want to call it, is there a website that they can go to?
Yes, you can go to our website called onemoregeneration.org.
Okay.
And it's all spelled out, so ONE and moregeneration.org. And you can donate, and this donations will go into our educational funds, or you can say what you would like to donate, and we'd love to help with that.
All right, and do you also help assisting with cheetah and rhino adoption and things like that?
Yes, we do. We have some organizations that are partnered up with her, like with us, that have adoptions. But you can also go online, and maybe if you wanted to email us, you can find our email on our website. You can then ask us for like recommendations for organizations that have adoptions, and we would love to help out with that as well.
All right. This is Richard Solomon and Antonio Sayant, and we're with Olivia and Carter from onemoregeneration.org. We'll be right back. Keep it locked in. Welcome back. Richard Solomon and Antonio Sayant. We are doing a co-production of Taking Care of Business, tcbradio.com, and Rocket Green Radio, rocketgreen.com, a show on environmental issues. And one of our goals is to network people in environmental situations with each other. And we're actually doing a pretty good job on that. So Antonio and I are very proud of that. We're also very proud to have come to know our two guests, Olivia and Carter, who are really making tremendous, profound, positive changes in the world. And the truth is we need more people out there like them, especially because they're at tender young ages where they can really motivate a lot of their peers. So there are ways of financially contributing. I understand from your website, onemoregeneration.org, that there's all kinds of sponsorships and you can designate the money for certain things, but could you briefly talk a little bit about what the money does and goes and what you're hoping to raise in terms of goals and what you want to do as far as, goals in terms of either mammals, sea life, conservation, education, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so our donation part on our website, if you go to onemoregeneration.org, all spelled out, basically you can donate to us, and the donation goes to different various educational purposes, like different campaigns that are going on, like plastic pollution or animal conservation or youth empowerment. We've also created another campaign called the One Less Straw Pledge campaign that you could also donate to, and we could probably going to talk about that a little later.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I can tell you that Antonio and I did a show with Linda Booker, who I think what's the name of her website? Strawfilm.com?
Yes.
Okay. And she was one of those people who educated us about the tremendous number of straws out there. It was mind-blowing how many straws are actually used out there each year, and how they're ending up in the world's waterways and choking and killing marine life. And what's very interesting is that since that show, I've noticed every time I've gone to a diner or some, food establishment, even when it's not a fast food place, but just a regular kind of diner or restaurant, how I always get a glass of water with a straw. And I'm kind of amazed at how many straws I come across in my own life. And I never thought about that until we did the show.
Yeah, 500 million straws every single day.
Day?
Wow.
It's crazy.
Wow. So
see that?
Antonio and I had a debate in pre-production whether it was 500 million a year or a day. So if it's 500 million a day, I don't think my calculator has enough zeros to multiply by 365.
And none of them ever get recycled.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, so I guess maybe the answer is to go back to paper straws. And way back when there were paper straws.
There are still paper straws at restaurants.
Well, I have yet to see them, but I can imagine that paper straws probably disintegrate. So,
yeah, if I don't know if you guys have been to Ted's Montana Grill. It's a really good restaurant, but and Ted Turner's restaurant, and he uses paper straws, and it's like it's the best thing.
All right, cool. So while we're on the topic of straws, how did you become involved with the straw awareness movement?
Well, we first started with our plastic awareness curriculum, learning about different plastics and teaching children and adults about what can and cannot be recycled. And what would always come up is straws. Can straws be recycled? And we did a little bit more research, and we decided that we wanted to create a campaign to help reduce the amount of straws that are ending up in our landfill. And so then what we're doing is we created a campaign called the One Less Straw Pledge campaign, where we're asking people to give up plastic straws for 30 days. And a lot of people say that 30 days is a long time, but actually, if you just commit yourself to it, it's not that long. And the goal is to get people to think twice before accepting or using a plastic straw.
Well,
today,
Good.
we just went to Delta, and we stood out and tried to get as many people to sign the pledge and not use plastic straws at all.
Well, what's interesting is
three.
Go ahead.
What are the three phases in the campaign that you talk about?
Yeah, so we have 3 different groups that you can go in. We have businesses like restaurants and like headquarters, like of course Delta, Chick-fil-A, and stuff like that. We have individuals where an individual can just sign up on just individual, and the last one is the school, and we have got Carter and I school have gotten it to sign up, and
wow.
We're hoping that other schools will get to sign up.
So what I've learned is that you actually have to tell people when you're ordering a drink, by the way, bring it without a straw, because if you don't tell the person who's bringing the beverages that the default is to bring a straw with the little paper left on the top. And then it's too late, because you can't say, oh, I didn't want the straw, because once it's used, it's already used.
Yeah, that's a lot of restaurants where we're from, it doesn't really do that, but we have found that some do. And but most restaurants where we live don't really, they just have them in their pocket, and they'll lay them out on the table, but we usually say, no thank you, we don't need a straw, we have our own. And we pull out our glass or metal straws.
Oh, that's cool. No thanks, wow. I've got my own. Next thing you know, I'm going to start bringing my own plates.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Carter, coming from you're talking about endangered species, right? Now you got straws in the ocean. Okay, they're obviously affecting the lives of turtles and sharks and all that. But then there's another thing that I read. That enlightened you both was oil being spilled by the BP, right, all over the coast of Florida. I think it was 2010, I believe.
Yes,
and right. So, I mean, how are you juggling all this? Like, it's so many different projects. How do you come about to do all of it? And, is it just you two? Are you getting any help? Are you teaching, going around schools, lecturing? I believe you were on TED Talks for the youth. What's going on? How are you doing all this fantastic, wonderful things? And you guys aren't even 18. It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
And sometimes I even wonder how I get sleep,
Yeah.
Well, usually I talk to Antonio about 12:30 in the morning, but we're maniacs.
I know. I don't sleep. Yeah, I get it. But
you're growing people. You need sleep.
Yeah,
I agree. Well, I want to say when we first started the company, when we were, like in 2009 when I was 8 and Olivia was 7, 2010 the Gulf oil spill happened, and we were just a year older. And we went to our dad and said, what are we doing about this problem? And, I mean, we didn't know the effect of, like, work and having to do things. And he taught us this over the course of the years that we've been doing this, how much work actually gets put into what he's doing, what we're doing. And so juggling this around is pretty difficult at points. But when you're that young, you don't see everything as a burden. You don't see work as a burden. You don't have jobs to worry about. You don't have bosses to please. So you're just doing this out of the, kindness of your heart. So, I mean,
Sure.
to us, it wasn't really work. It was fun doing it. Now that I'm starting to get into high school, it's still extremely fun, but it's starting to get a little tougher because I'm having to do my AP classes with this, and then trying to get enough sleep, and then I hope to do this for a lot longer. But, I'd like, after I get out of high school, to plan it a little bit better.
Well, I admire your ambition, and that's really, really something that really needs to be acknowledged. You guys are truly an inspiration. And given the state of the world these days, where we see a lot of negative news and a lot of sad things, it's good to see someone trying to push back and do things that are good. Truly just goodness for goodness sake. And one of the great things about our guests is that these are all people who are really committed to making very positive changes. We had, Linda Booker, who also is passionate about straw reduction, and Amy Greason, who's very, very passionate about finding botanicals in remote parts of the world that can cure disease, and Chris Moorman, who's trying to grow food in used containerized shipping containers. So these are all great things. These are all really, really great things. I know that Antonio kind of asked you about the people who are helping you. I know on the website you have a bunch of different adults. Could you talk a little bit about some of the adults who are helping out, and what their expertise is and what they're contributing?
Yeah,
so we have
all the people on, I'm sorry, Olivia, all the people on the website actually are board members, and a lot of them, they don't work for us directly. We know them, and if we think they're doing amazing work, like we've got a pangolin expert, we've got rhino, snake, plastic straws, all these different people that we're trying to join up with. So when we're going to a campaign, or we need help starting one, or we need information from them, we just go to them and ask them, and they help out. So we do have a few people working directly for us. Like, we have someone who's helping out with the website. We've got people who's getting information from schools. But I'm going to say it's not really a high number of people that are, actually full-time involved in this.
That's okay. By having a lean machine, maybe it's better. You're not as bureaucratic as some of the bigger institutions. So that means
I'll give you a name. I'll give you a name you should contact. And I guarantee you mention anything negative about BP oil, he'll be on board. Robert Redford.
Robert, seriously?
Yes. He can't stand, BP. And he's done, speeches at the UN. He's an advocate, when it comes to that, and oil being in the ocean and drilling in the ocean. So you should look him up and find out, because I think he'll be intrigued by how young you are and what you're doing and all the things that you're doing. I think it's a very positive thing.
We'll talk about that offline. But I want to get back to all these great things that you guys are doing. So you have sponsors and you have educational programs, and at some point you actually gave a TED Talk. So I'd really like to hear about how that evolved and how that came about.
Yeah. So the TED Talk mainly came about while we were doing. I think we were finishing up our rhino lead riding campaign, and we were just starting the penguin campaign. But the TEDx, they got a hold of us because we knew some people at the building they were presenting at, and they said, "Why don't you guys come down and do a presentation to show the audience like what you think, and we'll decide if you can do this TED Talk." So we did the presentation, and they loved it. So we put up a script and put everything down that we had done, and we did a 45-minute to an hour presentation to a whole group of people, and they were all passionate about every single thing that we were talking about. There were great people before us. But basically it started out, like we said, how we started. And then it went into collecting letters for the rhino lead riding campaign. Then when we got into environmental issues, we started talking about the Gulf oil spill and plastic pollution issues and stuff like that. So, yeah.
How does pollution affect you in your daily lives, if anything direct? Because it seems to really resonate in you both.
Well, pollution has a big impact on this earth. For us, we don't really use that. We try not to use that much plastic, and if we do, we try to recycle it, and we use recyclable kinds of plastic. And but it does affect people in everyday lives. Like, we met one teacher, and she had been drinking the same plastic water bottle, for an entire year, and which is not good for you. And
No.
Tell us why. And why is that so?
Well, the reason why is because plastic water bottles, the clear kind, are porous, which means that they have little holes in them, just like our skin. And basically, after a while, bacteria starts to develop on the mouthpiece, and mold starts to grow. And even if you put it in the dishwasher, wash it out, it'll still start to grow and affect your body. And the lady said that she had been having cramps, diarrhea, stomach problems for 9 months straight. Wow. Just because of that one bottle. And we gave her a reusable bottle, and for the next 8 months, none of that ever happened again.
Wow. That's very cool. Now, God. Antonio, why don't you share your story about water bottles and movie sets? We only have 2 minutes.
Yeah, I'll tell you real quick. One feature film. I'm talking about when you film me one movie. Okay?
Yeah.
They use 55,000 plastic bottles of water.
Oh, my gosh.
Right. So now you know that when it comes to me, and I walk in a television set and I see that, I get very upset. You know, because a lot of these companies, a lot of production companies say they're 100% sustainable, but a lot of them are not. They're trying. It takes time, but, you know, you have to really push it and keep on and, you know, drill in it. But, yeah, 55,000, plastic bottles for one feature film.
And what did you do about it? Antonio, share with us what you did.
So what I do?
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. The whole time I'm there, I make a big stink about it. You know, I make them feel bad about it. I do lectures. I really, it's one of my pet peeves. You know, I walk around with a sustainable aluminum bottle, and I try to make the production company switch and use this. You know, even catering. A lot of times they use, the paper, plates and stuff, and you have them telling me, do I want to have seconds, but they want to give me a new plate. And I go, no, just use the same plate. So a lot of them, it's a lot. You have to do a lot of teaching. A lot of people are afraid of change, and you have to learn it because a lot of these people, they just don't like change. They're not aware of it. So once you bring it aware, like what you're doing, it opens their eyes. Like what you do with your teacher. She didn't know that.
Yeah.
bacteria was setting in. She had no clue. But you
and that's why
alerted her. Right.
Yeah, we have 1 minute. Keep going.
And that's why education is a huge thing with what we do, is because you're not going to do anything about something you don't know about. And you're not going to care because, it's not even on your mind. So,
right.
So when we think about education, we think about how when we're teaching these people, we're probably affecting their whole family because they're going to go back. They know about these things. They're going to hopefully stop using these plastic bottles or plastic straws or whatever it is, and it'll have a huge effect in the long run.
All right. Well, hold on 1 second. All right. Richard Solomon and Antonio Sayant with our guests Olivia and Carter from onemoregeneration.org. We'll be right back. Thanks for holding on. Keep it right here. Welcome back to Taking Care of Business and Rocket Green Radio, our co-production on environmental issues. Richard Solomon and Antonio Sayant with our very special guests. And these are really inspirational people. It's Olivia and Carter, and they are true environmental pioneers at very tender young ages. So their website is onemoregeneration.org, and it's also onelessstraw.org as well. That if you've missed any part of this show that's been on FM, go to YouTube and check us out because this is a phenomenal show and really, really worthwhile from an educational point of view. Let's talk about YouTube, your YouTube. If you go to onemoregeneration.org, there's all kinds of videos you have up there. Let's talk about, when you do a campaign, do you do a video with it?
Yes, we try to do a video for most of our campaigns, like this One Less Straw pledge campaign. If you go onto the onelessstraw.org page, I actually made 2 videos that I've put up there that are going on YouTube. And but yeah, like for the rhino campaign, we made a video for the pangolin. We're about to make a video, orangutan. So any campaign we do, we feel like if you post it on YouTube, it'll be more of a reach because so many people use YouTube now.
Well, that's what we're on YouTube also. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you, when you sit down at the table, when is the lightning bolt hit and someone says, all right, we're going to do a campaign on this? How do you decide what this will actually be and how long the campaign will be and what the goals are of the campaign?
So, I don't think we ever actually just sit at a table. Not being realistic, I'm saying whenever we're doing a different campaign, it'll always pop in, it'll just pop because someone else is doing a different campaign. We'll run along to what they're doing, and they'll explain so much stuff, and we realize, wow, I didn't realize this. And we go ahead and start a campaign on a species that we had no idea even existed. So I think that's the main thing.
I think for us, it usually happens when we're coming back from an event, when someone says, oh, did you know about this animal? Did you know this? And it usually happens for us in the car, which is kind of different, but I think it usually, all the ideas are happening in the car.
Wow.
That's cool.
So what are the marine mammals that die from eating plastics? What can you name a few?
I can name a few, but there's tons of them. So, of course, there's the albatross. I don't know if some of you guys know that albatrosses are the largest living seabirds in the world, and they have a wingspan of over 11 feet. And every year they go and they swoop down. Well, when they have their babies, the babies are in the nest for almost over a year, and the moms have to go to the ocean and get the food for the babies and then regurgitate it back in the mouth. So when the mom flies over the ocean with her 11-foot wingspan, she sees something shiny, thinking it's a fish. She picks it up, eats it, and then goes back to the nest and regurgitates it back into the baby's mouth. Now,
Oh, wow.
what if this was plastic and 40% of all baby sea turtles die in the first year from eating plastic?
Wow. That's a staggering statistic.
Yeah.
And yeah, and also, of course, we have sea turtles are a big one because they usually end up eating the plastic bags because they look like jellyfish, or they get entangled in a piece of wire or plastic ribbon. And I don't know if you've seen the video of the turtle with the straw coming out of its nose. Yeah, people found a turtle, and they found at least a 6-inch long plastic straw wedged in the turtle's nose.
Oh, you poor thing.
And it's been in there for over 2 years.
Jeez.
Wow. And I'm sure that leads to infection and inflammation and all kinds of other medical issues.
And you can learn more about the animals and stuff on our website as well.
Wow.
Carter,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rich.
As far as sea life campaigns, what are your current campaigns? What are the long-term aspirations for those campaigns?
So for the plastic straw, since it's new, we're hoping that for a month, we can get people to not use a plastic straw, and that's our whole main goal. But we realized that a lot of the times, once you get people into a habit, and a lot of people sometimes don't think about it afterwards, they might go back. So we're thinking, why not do it annually? Why not have a month where we go out and do this straw campaign and try to get people to write a letter saying that sign a pledge saying that they'll go straw-free for a month. And
is there any particular month of the year that you're going to target this for?
This year we did it October and parts of November.
Okay.
Wow.
Antonio, you had a question?
No, I was just wanted to talk about the Carter about sharks. How about them? How about if are they eating the plastics in the ocean, or are they endangered by all this? You think? Because I read an article about it. You mentioned it at one point.
Sharks? Sharks are definitely affected. A lot of the times, plastic bags and plastic straws will be where they live, and it'll either get caught in the plastic straws, and sometimes they'll even try to eat it. And it'll get stuck in their digestive system because they can't digest it, and they'll starve to death.
Ooh.
Yeah, it almost reminds me of Jaws, with Richard Dreyfuss, when he opens up one of the sharks and he finds a plate, a car plate inside, and he explains that they eat anything. So I guess I could understand that they just roam around and just start eating it. So if they became extinct, what would happen? You think with the whole chain reaction of the sea life?
You're talking about sharks?
Yeah, sharks.
So sharks. So sharks are really high on the food chain, and especially in the ocean. But if they were to go extinct, just like if insects were to go extinct, the whole food chain would go out of order. And so there are smaller fish that are eating plankton. And this plankton is, the ocean has 50% of all oxygen that we breathe today is coming from the ocean. And that's mainly due to plankton. So if the shark doesn't exist anymore, then the next big fish is going to start eating those fish. And then if those goes extinct, and so on, then till those little fish keep eating those plankton. And if the plankton are gone, then 50% of where oxygen comes from, it's gone for good.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah. So if you think of it in those terms, it's catastrophic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something that's where your education really is a very invaluable tool. Because nowhere in the mainstream media do you really get these kinds of messages.
No. All right.
Yeah.
And that's
very important.
Yeah, it's very important. Where do you learn all the stuff that you learn?
Oh, I don't.
Is it? Do you talk to people? Is it reading books? Is it in the library? Is it?
I want to say it's mainly talking to people where we learn all this information from. Different experts we've met over the years. Also, we reach out to people if we feel like they would be really good on the specific subject. But also, reading. We'll do some reading. Definitely when we first started the company, it was a lot of reading that went into thinking about our first campaign.
Who are some of the people that you've relied upon that had just a wealth of knowledge?
Oh, so we've got a lady who's expert on pangolins, Louise Fisher, out of the UK, and then there's Dr. Bruce Means. He actually lives in Florida, and he's an expert on rattlesnakes while we were doing that. Anne Van Dyke, she's an expert on cheetahs when we first started that. Barute Galdicus, from Indonesia, she's expert on orangutans. And then Jane Goodall, we've talked with her quite a bit.
She's legendary.
Yeah, I know. She's amazing on chimpanzees, and we've had the pleasure of meeting her 3 or 4 times now.
Did you meet her in Africa, or did you meet her in somewhere else?
Oh, we met her somewhere else. We had a gala that was going on. We met there. We met in D.C. We've met in at a university. We were actually going to meet her in Africa while we were at her sanctuary, her Eden, chimpanzee Eden, but she was actually gone at that time.
Oh, too bad. What was she like, and what did you learn from her?
Oh, I mean, she was amazing. She had so many things to say, and whatever she said, it was brilliant. And my mom loves her, and so I made it a point to bring my mom with us when we went to meet her. And so my mom wouldn't stop talking to her. So she was the one who talked to her at one point the whole time. But my mom said she was just so influential, and I mean, she doesn't speak much, but when she does, it's so powerful. And she was given a presentation at one of the places, and I mean, everyone was silent the whole time, and people had so many questions afterwards.
Wow. Who else has been inspirational to you guys?
Oh, well, definitely my parents. I mean, because without them, we probably wouldn't have the company right now. But then other people influential, I would say, like Sylvia Earle. When we've met with her, Richard Branson, he's definitely been huge. Laura Turner Seidel, and Ted Turner, we've worked with them. I mean, these are all people that we've worked with that have been have motivated us to keep going. You know, even when things seem like they're not going the best, when you see so many animals being poached, they still move us to do all the stuff we're doing.
Wow. To what extent have you joint ventured with other groups?
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, to what extent have you joint ventured where someone's already doing something and you're joining forces with them, as opposed to doing something just completely on your own?
We haven't done that very often. We usually just start from scratch. But we do when we do collaborate with the organizations like Captain Planet, Oceana. Well, when we joined up with them, Oceana had a sea turtle campaign. We didn't start that. We just helped out collect 1,200 letters. And
wow.
And so we all brought them to D.C. and brought them to the White House, and that's an example of collaborating. But we don't do it too often. but we like to do it when we know we can definitely help out.
All right. So for the last couple of minutes that we have of this really exciting radio show, tell everybody out there how they can help. What could the guy the girl who's listening to this right now, what could they do to get involved, to learn more, to be a part of this?
Well, we always say the first step, the easiest step to do is to adopt an animal. That's what we did to start, and you can do that to start too. The second thing is, this is for the parents and the grown-ups out there. Listen to your children if they are passionate about something. Because I remember Carter and I went to our dad a couple times asking him, when are we going to start this company? And he would just push it off and push it off. And so I would say listen to your children and all the kids out there. If you're passionate about something, then I would definitely just remind someone and just tell someone over and over until someone gets it that you're really serious about something.
What could we expect to see from you guys in the next year or two? What are you working on?
Other than the plastic straw.
Yeah.
So we're definitely thinking about doing a pangolin campaign, as we mentioned earlier. But there are other species that we're trying to get involved with, like snow leopards, because there's so few of those in the Himalayas and all these different places. But another one is we've gotten involved with elephants, but not as much as we'd really like to, because there are 96 elephants that are being poached every single day.
Wow.
Wow.
And that's all for the ivory, right?
Yes, all for the ivory. And it's scary to think that these, 5 minutes from now, another elephant's dead. And so when we raise awareness about this, we definitely try to put these effects into our presentation, because this really gets people to really think.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say those are the two main campaigns. We're also doing other plastic. We're still doing our plastic campaign, youth empowerment campaigns, as Olivia explained, about parents and stuff. So I think that's what you should be most expecting. But, one day a light bulb might go off again, and we might think of another campaign to do. So
if people were to adopt an animal, which are the ones that you recommend that they get started with? That would probably be the most useful.
Well, I'd say either a pangolin, because they're the most trafficked mammal on the planet.
Why? We only have a minute left, but why is that?
The main reason is because they, a lot of people, like in Asia and Africa, when they kill them, in Africa it's for the bushmeat. And in Asia, it's for the scales that they have on them, and they think that it can cure cancer or relieve stress. But again, it's just like the rhino horn; it's made of keratin, just as your fingernails,
right?
Your hair.
Wow! All right. So for those who are listening out there, we had an amazing hour of radio. The websites to check out are onemoregeneration.org, and what was the other one?
OneLessStraw.org.
There you go. So Carter and Olivia, thank you so much. Antonio, these are great people that you procured, and welcome to our radio family is all I could say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We will see you in a week. Thank you for listening, and stay green out there.